did a previous video about this thing, and it's pretty good, but unfortunately my pool water level is getting very high. So I don't know if you can see. So what I wouldn't want to do is put more water in my pool. How do I get this to suck up more rubbish from my pool without adding more water? I've got a plan, and it involves PVC. I've got a pump, so why not use that? So I definitely know that I need to cut my grass, but I'm terrified of doing it near the pool. But the idea is, I thought, you know what, I could have sort of like a T-junction coming off here, using something like this, but I thought, you know what, that's going to be unfiltered water. So I've changed my mind slightly, and what I need to do is come off after my filter, so this thing. And what I can do is, I've got an extra hose, is I can now take it off here, and because I know that 32mm pipes will go very nicely here, I can use that. And what I can also do is, I've got a 32mm join, T-join, and that gets us in there perfectly. But how do I go from this to this? Very simply, I bought a set of extra garden hose adapters. One of the things it came with is one of these. So if I can connect this to this 32mm, what is it, joiner thing, then PVC, and then all I need to use is a garden hose to get from the vacuum to the PVC. But I can't just have this, and I don't want to have the vacuum hooked up the entire time because it could cause a problem. So I also bought a very cute miniature valve. Again, like the other ones, it's very overkill, but you know what, I like it. And worst case, I can also hook something else up to this, maybe a fountain, or I don't know, anything. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's just get to it. So we're going to need 4 lengths of this, one for either side of the pipe, one to stick out of the T-junction, and then finally another one to stick out of here. So we need to make sure how far we go in. That's the sort of distance we have on the T-junction. So that sort of length will do us. Okay. I just need to repeat this 4 times. Ooh. So the first thing, deburring. All this plastic needs to be got rid of. This is only the second project that I've done this for. Obviously the first would be me doing the PVC pipes on the swimming pool. So if I can do it with my bad cuts, then I think anyone can do it. Okay, so we've got 4 pieces. So what we're looking to do is something like this. So from the filter to the pool, and then we have another one out to this. But because it's about the same size as my 32mm pipe, I need to put this on the end and glue this in. So let's start with this. It's the least expensive part, but also most like the most fiddly. Now, it comes apart, and inside is a washer, which I can imagine perishing. And after this, I'm not going to be able to take this out, so I'm going to take it out now. Same with this one. Also, the plastic inside was really badly done, so I've tried to open it up as much as possible. Not that it makes much difference because it's going through a hole that size. Now, this and this obviously go together. What I don't want is for that to happen and it potentially block the other connector connecting onto this. So I want to keep it as level with this as possible. So what I'm going to use this for is more of a spacer than anything. We do that, and then we can tighten it a little bit, and that should be ideal, because I don't want to have to mess around with depth whilst I'm doing this. Now, I'm not 100% sure this is going to work, because there is a little bit of gap between the outside, and the glue says that it can deal with tolerances like 0.3 of a millimetre, which is literally a fraction of an inch. But I don't know. Hopefully, if we put it on thick enough, that this won't be a problem. Before I forget, I need to scratch the inside to rough it up, because we want it to be able to adhere to it. So the inside there's scratched. In theory, we can do the same to this, but in reality, all we're going to end up doing is probably smoothing it out slightly. So let's double check I haven't actually made that any smaller. Okay, let's give that a go. First thing we need to do is get a primer. If I can open it. Whee. Ooh. So, the one thing I didn't do was actually check what kind of material this is made out of. But we will find out. If it doesn't bond, then I've made a terrible, terrible mistake. But that's the nice thing about putting a valve on it. If it does come flying off in the end, I can turn it off and then figure out what I've done wrong and contemplate my life choices. So, got some glue here. So, so what was it first? It says lightly in the socket, which I'm not too fussed with. And then put a bit more glue on, because you know what, I want this thick. I also want it in there, in that join, because I don't want that to unscrew at all. Now that is a lot thicker, and if you were doing this professionally, you would be horrified, but that is the kind of thing I want. And then I'm just going to put that in there. The nice thing is that has come up slightly. So it's pushed out, which means there wasn't anywhere for it to go. And looking on the underside, that looks reasonable. I'm just gonna, it's probably a bad idea, but try and smooth that out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it. I'm leaving it upright because if I leave it to one side, it could drift to one side and then potentially leave a gap. But I'm hoping if I do it like that, the glue is going to fall down in a uniform fashion. Okay, so let's do the T-join. Rough it up. Ooh, come back. Just wiping the excess off the primer. Going around a couple of times. Far too much. I'm just going to do all three. Again with this one. Just wipe the excess off. Do a little bit in there. And do it there. And then hold it for a few seconds. My instructions never actually said to twist it, so I don't know where I picked that up from. So this time round I'm just pushing it in and holding it. And that looks quite good. Don't know if you can see inside. So 2 of these pieces of pipe need to be scratched at both ends. 2 only need to be scratched at one end because they're the 2 that connect up to the hoses. So I'm sure it's been longer than 5 minutes, so I'm just going to reprime this. And obviously it's thin on the inside, thick on the outside, or thick on the pipe. And I think that's because when you push the pipe in, if it's on the inside of the socket, then you'll be pushing it inside here. If it's on the pipe, then you actually push it on the outside and it shows more of a seal, which is pretty cool. So that is us going from the filter to the pool, and now we need to add on the valve. I'm always wiping the excess off the glue onto the lid, onto the side of the bottle, otherwise you would be swamping this. Kind of worries me when you see that and it doesn't look like there was enough glue. That one looks fine, that one looks fine. Don't know. So let's check the inside. There's glue on the inside, but I'm fairly sure if that was in a professional setting, then that wouldn't pass the mustard. But you can sort of see the glue on the inside there. But in a professional setting, you wouldn't be able to look inside the pipe to check. With these things, there is a flow. I'm guessing it's to stop them opening by pressure. So I'm going to scratch both of them anyway, because they need doing. Yeah, that one's a bit loose. These are pretty cool. Just a little open and close. And I like their red because it means danger. Right, so obviously water goes this way, so our T-junction is going in here, which means this little pipe goes on this side. So let's do it. This one I'm more worried about drips going into the mechanism because I don't want to damage it. So I'm just holding it downwards. So glue. More glue. And it's definitely this one. And we'll just rest that to one side there. let's have a quick look at this. I'm not convinced about this at all. You know what? I think it hasn't been long enough anyway. This is not how you do it, but because I've now spilt it on the blue bit, this is probably going to go badly and stopping it from actually connecting. But this needs to be left a lot longer. Okay, I'm going to do the second to last bit. I put down cardboard and then I drip it on the tiles. So I want this to be pointing straight up. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to dry for a little bit. Okay, it's been about an hour, maybe slightly longer. Do I think that's going to hold up? It's one way to find out. It seems to be in there. We'll find out. I've noticed I've been doing this less, so we'll find out whether or not it's a bad thing. Right, I've finished with this for the moment. Well, I finished with this until I realise there's a problem. And again with this, I just want to wipe some of this excess off. Really don't need that much glue. You know what, a little excess glue on the inside of that might actually help us, because it'll be pushing up against the other bit. Then, on you go. So there you go. So let's give this a try in a bit. I need to put this to one side to dry, or to fully harden. What I don't want is this to sort of shoot apart because the glue hasn't fully dried. If it shoots apart because I haven't actually done it right, then that's different. Right, I'm just going to tidy up. Right, it's been 24 hours. I've cut the grass. Let's give it a go. Let's make the pool safe. I need to plug all the holes. I know I don't normally use these plungers, but as I'm disconnecting everything, it makes sense. I've also got my spare bit of pipe. So in theory, nothing's going to waste. We don't normally have to do it like this, but I kind of want to put the white one on the filter. So I've put the clips on. They seem a little bit less secure than the Bestway ones, but oh well. So the question is, do I want the shorter one here and a long one over there? I think so. So let's put that back on. I didn't have to do this, but I wanted to measure the pipes. that on there. Now for the moment of truth. So before I forget, I'm going to close this, otherwise I will forget. So just need to connect this up, push this on as much as possible and tighten it up and repeat. Ooh, let's keep that clip off. Hopefully this is watertight. First thing I'll do is I'll turn on the tap or the valve. Okay, so I let a little air in. Right. Of course, it's not going to go through. So the kit I bought for like £1.50 or $2 came with these, and I have a bit of hose that I cut off that I use to drain the pool with. So let's give it a go. I must admit green and blue don't really go well together, but this is I want to say a fairly cheap project, but I mean the most expensive part was that valve. So 2 pieces. Plug this on there, and then it'll be a case of this plugging on here. So let's get you in a better position. So last time we used this, we hooked it up to the tap. This time, well, and we also used one of these nets. What I wanted to try was one of these mesh nets. I would put this over here, give that a go, and then I was going to put this on there just to sort of give it a bit more oomph. So let's give it a go. Great, as we're all prepared, let's turn on the pump. So far so good. Nothing appears to be leaking. Now, theory I put it on the right way round, but there's a little valve in there that stops the water coming out when I turn it on. I'm going to put that to the test. Okay. There's a little bit of a leak coming out, but there always is with hoses. So let's give it a go. Well, that's not great. That is a rubbish amount of water flow. There. I hope my camera's waterproof. Do me a favour. Hold that so that thing points upwards or slightly that way. So Slightly like that would be great.
Whoa! Enemy!
There.
I'm doing that.
That's interesting.
It's like a sprinkler.
Interesting.
Daddy, you got water on it.
Right, come here. Can you do me a favour? It involves getting your hand wet, so roll your sleeve up. You see that outlet? I want you to put your hand over it.
See what is
That pipe that comes out, the white one,
yeah?
I would like you to put your hand over it.
What?
Not entirely. What I want you to be able to do is for the water to come out.
This involves getting my feet wet too.
It shouldn't do. I did let a lot of water out. Okay. So, bit harder. Perfect. So my lovely assistant is going to block the outlet to increase the water flow. And that, obviously the more it gets blocked, the higher the water.
Why do I have to keep doing it?
Because by doing it, you slow the water coming out that hole so it can come out this hole. Okay, I've learned a few things. One, this does work, but you need to have consistent flow. So I kind of reverted back to this one, just the plain mesh. And you know what, it's worked, but I need to have consistent flow. And my little adapter, it works in principle. I need to block up that hole in a more permanent solution But I don't know if you saw, when I actually did put the plug in, the tube just basically pushed off, and I'm kind of worried that if I do that, then I might end up overloading the pump by restricting the flow too much. Do I really want to break my pump when they're all out of stock? I don't know. I'll have a think and come up with another idea. This would have worked if I'd had either a more powerful pump and that, say with a system that had 2 outlets, or a less powerful pump and I could have just plugged it straight in to the outlet. So I didn't know. So I think I'm in the in-between ground of my pump's powerful but not powerful enough. So I'll have a think. Maybe I'll do a third video on pool vacuums, hopefully with more luck. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.